Greetings and welcome to episode 10. So, a bit of a recap from uh, episode 9. We finished up the our oxygen refill station, and then we made some tier 1 alloys, the Constantan, the Inbar, the Electrum, and the solder, um, so that we could start making stuff for automation. Computers are going to be required to program the integrated chips, and the IC housings will hold those chips. So, in today's episode, let's try to get those manufactured and placed and wired in, and then maybe we'll get into some MIPS programming. So MIPS programming is something that RocketWorks did. It's their own IC10 language, and I actually have that right here on the page. If you ever want to like the wiki, man, the station, it's an unofficial Stationeers wiki, but man, there's a lot of information on that page. And I'm not the best at IC10 programming language. I've got some Java experience, so but this is their own programming language they made for their own game, right? I could do some decent IC10 automation, so but anything you want to know, man, is on this website. It'll kind of gives you the scripting language for IC10, housing and chips. MIPS is Stationeer's inspiration for the in-game scripting language called IC10. Right, it runs on IC10 chips crafted the electronics printer. Okay, and then it'll go into the whole thing. So if you kind of want to learn on your own, this is what I use. I come back to this if I have questions. So, uh, we'll try and get into that today. Just some basic stuff, mainly that greenhouse light. I want to get it automated so that it's like on for 10 minutes and then it rests for six, or yeah, on for 10 minutes and then it's off for six and then it just cycles, right? And then what else did I want to automate? Oh, time permitting, let's try and get maybe a digital valve up there on the greenhouse and the shop, so that we can automate the cooling so that we don't have to keep flipping those levers, right? We won't have to worry about it. It'll be build and forget like we did the solar panels. And then that reminds me about the solar panels. We never did place that area power control for the solar panels so they have a battery backup. If we have a catastrophic power failure, at least the solar arrays will be able to track the sun even if the base power's out. So, it's lots of stuff to do today. Hopefully, we get into it. Hello, Charlotte. So, first things first. Yep, we want a housing. How many of those are we going to need? We want to do. We at least want to do one in there for now. Uh, do one in there for now, and then we can do the integrated chip. So we'll need Electrum. Okay, while that's printing, maybe I can just go over this. So like this is an integrated housing and it's gonna hold, we're printing a chip. If you can see, the chip's gonna sit there in the middle, right? It's got a data port and a power port. That's one section. Now this is new. I think it came, man, I don't remember, but I think it came with the terrain update. They made it where it was there's a compact IC housing now. So you can run, to kind of shorten up your cable, you can run that housing right there, and then it's just one cable to wire it all in, right? Unless you'd like to, keep your data and your power separate. Sometimes I like to do that, especially with my solar panels out there. You guys saw that. Um, but other times it's not too terribly important what you do with it. Now, we've got those, and what we need to do now is print out a computer to be able to program these things. Gosh, we could have made that a while ago. Well, that's good to know. Make one of those. Ah, now we need a place to put it. We may end up having to expand this shop. Maybe we'll just stab it right here for now. Or in front of the window. It really is nice to be in here without a suit on. That is kind of nice. That way your hygiene's not going down on that. Get a little drinky drink. Yeah, we're gonna have to get some plants growing, but hopefully with this computer, we'll have the means to automate that light, and that's gonna be like the easiest thing to program, and we'll get into that. So, in order for the computer to talk to the IC housing and the chip, you're going to need a motherboard, and it is the integrated circuit editor motherboard is the one that we need. We only need one, so I kind of like the idea of having the computer here in the front by the window. So by default you get the modern computer look, right? There is a retro, like old school, let me back up a little bit, kind of an old school computer look, and then they have the big screen wall mounted, so you can put one right there. You also have the big screen, kind of like I have here for my TV, and then back to the modern. And I'm just gonna go with the modern for now. If we expand this shop a little bit, we'll put a big screen up somewhere. So what does that aid? Screwdriver. And that's done. And then every computer has a slot for the motherboard, right? Put that in there, close the door. Now we'll be able to program. And then we just need to wire it up. Now with this, you do have to wire up the data side, because the computer, is going to talk to the IC housing. So we will do this and this and this. There. And then we can put the IC housing down. And then for like right here, I think what we'll probably do is the compact version, because I'm going to end up picking this up and moving it in there. But we have to program it first. So we'll wire that in. I'm weird. I'm right-handed, so I like my tools in my right hand. Okay, that should be powered. It's flashing an error because there's no chip in it. Now, what I like to do, because you're probably going to have multiple housings, right? And multiple chips once you start doing this. What I like to do is label that chip, and we'll label that housing once we get it moved. So this will be the greenhouse chip. Right? This chip will take care of everything in the greenhouse. That'll be like temperature. Ooh, maybe not. Because there's going to be a pause in the light. We may end up having to build another housing for that. So what we could do actually is rename this. Greenhouse. Let's do grow light. Chip. Whoop. Right, so now if you've got multiple chips, you know what that chip's purpose is. So now that error should go away. Okay. Now when you do these, if you've got multiple housings on the network, and that's something that we can do. Don't know if it'll maintain the name if I dismantle it, but we can call this greenhouse housing. Okay. Just make sure that when you go to edit these chips, that you're on the correct housing. Because if you got multiple housings, they'll show up in this drop-down arrow. Okay? So just make sure you're on the correct one. Right? And then all we need to do then is edit. Okay? So, first step is to define. You want to define the devices you want to control, right? And you're just telling the computer what to look at. So it's looking for a string and a number. And let me pause this actually. So what we want to do is we want to control the grow light, right? So if you hit F1 while you're in the editor and you type in grow light, how about grow light? Okay, we need to tell the computer that we want to control this. So you have two ways of doing it, right? This is the prefab hash or the number assigned to this device, right? So it's looking for grow light and then a number. The other way to do it is you can just use its prefab name. And that's tends to be the way I do it. So what I do is we're going to call it like grow. You can just call it, well, maybe, yeah, let's try it. Sometimes with naming conventions, it doesn't like it. And then we assign it the in-game name. And then what you can do is once you click on this blue link, it copies it to clipboard. And then Control V as in Victor to paste. So now our girl light is in there. I believe, right? So if we added more than one grow light in that greenhouse, this program will tell all the grow lights to come on at the same time, right? And then depending on how you want it, this can be anything, man, right? This could be your main loop, okay? A lot of people do start. It's the start of your loop, okay? I do start. And then what you want to do is a yield because you want the game to check, right? Pauses execution for 1 game tick. There's 2 ticks per second in the game. So what's going to happen is if this wasn't here, it would just read all 128 lines in 1 tick. If you yield it, it'll take its time going through the lines. So that should be that. And then at the end of your code, you want to jump back to start, right? So now this does a loop. Whatever you put in here, it's gonna perform that task, get to here, and jump back, and it just starts over again. You don't have to worry about a thing. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to save to the device, and I'm doing a batch instruction just in case we add more grow lights, right? So we're going to save batch or store batch, right? And then it wants the device hash. Well, we've defined that up here. This device hash, right? So we can Control C as in Charlie, Control V. We want to save batch to the grow light, the on, and then if you don't know what to do here, you got 2 ways of doing it. You can use a register, or you can do it this way. So the logic type of on that we just typed, the current state of the device, 0 for off, 1 for on. And really the easy way to do this is just 1. Okay? And then we want it to sleep for 10 minutes, and I believe these are seconds. Yeah, so 10 minutes, that's 600, do the math here. Yeah, 60 seconds in a minute times 10, 600. Why does that seem too short? I think I was doing 12 and 6 on my other one. What we can do is we can check. So you do have a library, right? This library is all the codes that I've written myself. Where is our grow light? Grow light. And then we can import. Yes, we want to overwrite. So I was doing 12. 12 and 6. But you see the gist, right? And all I did here was I alias. So if you alias the grow light to D0, every housing has a pin. if you look here. There's D0, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. So there's 6 pins that you can use. But after you use those 6 pins, you're out of space, right? You gotta do it a different way. This is kind of why I batch rate. So if we do this, I'm just gonna use those times. So let's get rid of this. Grow light, extra grow light, yield, yep. But we're gonna batch rate. So in case we get other grow lights on there. Grow light on of 1. So it'll be on for... That's 20, ain't it? No. Hold on. Math time. I wish there was an in-game calculator. 1200 divided by 60. Yeah, that's on for 20 minutes, man. That's crazy. I wonder why I did that. This works, though. On for 20, off for 10. Well, we'll see how it goes. If the crops don't like it, we can change it. So once you've done this, you just hit confirm, okay? There's nothing on that chip because we haven't exported it. So I usually tap export a few times. So now that's on the chip. What we wrote here is now here. So I'm going to turn that off. I'll turn that off. Okay, so we are going to remove this IC housing. I wonder if it'll keep its name. I guess we'll find out. We're going to go into the greenhouse and set this down. I need to make sure I've got my tablet as well. I need this. So if you remember last episode, that is on. Are we getting a storm? Wow. Okay. If you remember last episode, we isolated our power networks. So just to be sure that our grow light is seen through this cable, because remember we stubbed this cable through. Yep, there's our grow light right there. So we can honestly put this housing and we'll do the compact version. We can put that there. It did not maintain its name, but that's okay. Put the chip in and we can wire it up. There. So now we flip that on. Look at that. That will stay on for, what we say? 20 minutes? Should almost do like 10 and 6 or 10 and 3. What are potatoes? Light per day is 5. Gosh. 5 and 3. That's it in a 20-minute period. Eight minutes out of 20. That's insane. 5 minutes, huh? Per day.
Hunger caution.
My time, my math doesn't even add up, man. We had 1,200. 1,200 seconds divided by 60. That's 20 minutes. There's only 20-minute days. What we need to do is change that to... It needs 5 minutes a day of daylight, but only 3 minutes of darkness. Yeah, maybe just do 10 and... or 6. Let's see. How do we do that? Yeah, 10... 600 and 300, so it'd be on for 10, and then pause, sleep for 3, pause, on for 10. That might be the way to go. Let's actually print another housing if we got the stuff. 'Cause there's only 20 minutes in a day. 30 minutes is weird. We'll have to fix those solar panels. It's alright, we'll mess with that in a minute. Yeah, that's 20 minutes, man. Do half that. Half that. Because that's 5 minutes. That's 10. What do we need? Steel? We're gonna have to make more steel. Go. Wait for that to finish. One thing you can do to make this easier instead of going back and forth, you can make a laptop if you have the materials. I ended up just doing that. So, if we're happy with this, we can just export it, turn it off. To go fix those panels because they're damaged now. Okay. We have 2 potato seeds. So now we can literally walk away from this. Wonder why it's cooling off in here. Because that's shut. Huh. Well, we'll check on these once in a while. We don't have to worry about the light anymore. But we'll check on these once in a while. Make sure they're still thriving. We need steel and inbar. There's no inbar in there. Don't believe we have a gas sensor in here. We do, right there. I think we're gonna be inside for a bit, so. Shed the suit, man. Ugh, we're gonna need more shed. But what that, we're printing out a pipe analyzer. That's basically a digital version of that meter right there. Okay. And that should go over the pipe just like the rest of this does. So, I think it's a wrench. Yes. There. Okay. And then that should be wrenched off as well, right? And then we put the digital in. Okay, doesn't matter which way this goes unless you use a one-way valve. Oh, that ain't gonna work. We can move the display though. I can move that. Oh, which means it's gonna get all fucked up. Okay, so now we know we have wire there. Hmm. Actually kind of like that idea. It doesn't go through the wall though, does it? I doubt they have power. Do I have power if I do that? Yep. Okay, so now what we want to do is when the temperature reaches like greater than 27 degrees Celsius, like we want to open that valve. Boop, right? And it'll cool off the room. But when it reaches, say, like, I don't know, 22, we can close it, because we want to maintain between, about 25-ish. I seem to remember having an analyzer on my pipe, but I can't remember why. Because all that's doing is measuring what's inside the pipe. We'll keep it there. Nice to have. Alright, so what we yeah, now we need to automate this part. And get out of my suit. Gonna have to drink again. It's so thirsty on Mars. I don't remember drinking this much on the moon, man. Okay. We are gonna need another chip. And we need more space, dude. Where's my bender? This is it here. I was thinking about this the other day. Search. Let's do a locker. Do 2 of them. I think there's an overhead option for these. Ah. So if I put this, is there an overhead? There's a shelf, shelf medium, corner, overhead corner. Here we go. Overhead locker. What the hell? Is that going on a wall? Ugh. Well, that's a bummer. Oh, but we can put that here. Okay, so if I rotate it, other way. Right there? No. Why is that weird like that? I'm not telling it to put it there. That's where I want it. There we go. Check that out. Okay. So now we can put all this stuff in here, man. Right? Because this stuff makes our, pipe stuff. We can take this. Take this. Take this. Pipe radiator. In case we need another one. Yep. I can take that too, since I make a room for it. Take that. Heck yeah, man. So let's put that yellow one there. Insulated there. Liquid there. Put the radiator there. Pipe utility kit there. Yeah. And then, if that won't look weird, we can do the same thing here. Like that. Right? So check this out. Get this out of the way. Take our iron sheets, our glass sheets, plastic, steel, all this crap. Do a little bit of organizing. Iron, glass, plastic, steel, iron frames, iron wall. Making the room. Flat wall. Vent technically goes in here.
Hydration critical.
Yeah, thanks, lady. Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Getting organized. Getting organized. Have we evacuated this room out yet? Oh, pollutant. I really want to paint those cabinets now. We have not. So, that's something we can do. But I can also do that later. That's a lot better. Okay, back to this, because now we're heating up. So, back to this. We need an integrated circuit. Just one. Caffeinate the brain. I'm gonna need it. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated, right? We're probably gonna need the labeler. Unless we've labeled it already. Nope, it's already set. Well, I was thinking ahead on that one. And it spits it out because they don't stack, right? You won't have stacks of these chips. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to end up defining our gas sensor, right? And our digital valve. Those two for sure. So turn that on. There's nothing on it. Ooh, you know what? We could... This is just the workshop chip, man. Okay, so if we go into here and edit and then you hit clear, you can start from scratch. So we know we need to define our gas sensor. So we can actually do it two ways. What I like to do is, at least in Java programming, we have the class of sensor. Let's do gas sense, right? And then that's going to be our hash, the game name of the device. Control C, Control V, copy paste, right? And then we know we're going to have to define our digital valve. So class digivalve. as hash. And then we want that valve. Okay. And then, like, you could actually define a variable, your register that we're going to use. So, like, you could do alias, right, temp for temperature into R15. Okay. And then you can start your loop, right? And then we're going to yield, obviously. And we want to load from, actually, we want to load into temp from the gas sensor. Ooh, maybe we ought to do load batch name. How many sensors? Gas sensor. And then we want to actually define the instance of gas sense as hash. Right? Say you have, I'm going to hit confirm this time. Go grab our labeler. Say you have multiple devices of the same type, kind of like our solar panels out there. Well, if you wanted to control, say, like for example, this light, right? You could give it another name. So the wall light long is the class of the wall lights, right? The instance of that wall light is whatever you name it. Now we've named this, right? So if I hit Control C to copy and then confirm, and we edit, right? And we put that in our instance of gas sense. Okay, so now we can load batch named. Okay, loads the logic type from all output network devices with the provided type and name hash using the provide batch mode. Okay, and then we want to load into our temperature register. Okay, and then we do the device hash, the class of the device. Then the instance of said device. And what do we want? We want the temperature. Okay? And the sum of its temperature. Right? So what we've done, sorry for being repetitive, but repetition usually helps with memory. So we're loading from our gas sensor here into our temperature register the temperature. So what's going to happen is it's going to take the current temperature of the room and it's going to put it into this register. Okay? Capitating the brain. All right. Now, what do we want to do with that temperature? Remember, we talked about we want to, like, if it's greater than 27 degrees Celsius, okay, we want that valve to kick on. Right? So, how do we do that? Well, if we set greater than, okay, I'll highlight this, right? Register equals 1. Now remember we talked about that with the grow light, right? 0 for the device under the on logic type is off. 1 is on. So what it's going to do is if A is greater than B, it will be 1. Otherwise, it will be 0. So if our set greater than, let's see, we want temp is greater than, okay, if our temp, again, is greater than 27, ooh, you know what we need to do? We have to convert that to Celsius, because right now the temperature, it's reading the temperature, the gas sensor is reading the temperature in Kelvin. But anyway, so if our temperature is greater than 27 degrees, it's going to be a 1. But what we need to do is convert this. So we need to subtract temperature. Yeah, it should be temperature minus 273. Okay. It's going to be a 1. It's probably an easier way to do this. We could actually really the simplest way would be to set this at 5 and leave it. 25, I mean. That would be super simple. But if we wanted it to be on, if it's greater than 27 and off at less than 22, we'd have to do something different. So, without getting too complicated, what we can do is change this to branch greater than. So C becomes our line. Branch to line C if A, just temp. So this is going to be 27. And this is going to be where it jumps down to. So we want to actually cool down, right? And then we can go here, and cool down is another.
Hunger caution.
See how it turned to purple? So if it's greater than 27 degrees, it'll go here. Otherwise, it'll do this. And what we want to do here is we want it to cool down. So we want that digital valve to open. So we want to set this, our valve, I forgot the E. And then is it open? It's probably on. Yeah, it's on. So on according to temp, right? So remember, oh no. Could we still do that? All we can do is find out. Oop. So set greater than temp 27. And then branch it changes it to 1. gets repetitive here. If temp is temp is greater than 27, go to cooldown. Okay? So it goes here, and it sets the register to 1, right? And then turns on the digital valve if it's 1. Otherwise, you can branch less than temp of, what did you say, 22? And we just turn it off. And we come down here. We want to actually jump back to start after this. Right? And then turn off. Okay, and we set less than our temp, if our temp is 22, right? And we have the device oh, we don't want to do that. We want it to be 0. We want it to be 0. So that's easy enough. There. So, and we don't need this statement. So, if the temperature is less than 22, if temp is less than 20 degrees Celsius, jumps to turn off. Turn off just tells our digital valve, right? Turn off. 0 being off. And then jump start. And it just cycles through the whole thing again, right? So if we confirm that, export, turn on. It didn't work. Why? Let's get our network analyzer. Troubleshooting. It's all part of it, man. Oh, it's telling us there's an error. Incorrect variable at line 16. Oh. Confirm. Export. Hey, look at that. Our valve's open. Ta-da! So now it should start cooling down in here. .1, 30.4. Remember, that's over there at our sensor. Yeah, it's cooling off. So, if this gets higher than 27 degrees, that valve will turn on and allow that cold air into the pipe. Once it reaches down to about 22, we can even change that to 23. Once it reaches to 22, 23 degrees, whatever we set it to, that valve should go off, right? And we can kind of test that if we have some ice. Let's dump, I don't know, half. Give it some pressure in here too. Either way, I think we got her, man. It'll cool off in here. So that's just kind of a brief, simplified, you know, temperature, man. If you guys got any questions, I'm on YouTube at MadHatAK. Leave a comment. I can point you in the direction of someone else that has way more knowledge into the IC10 programming language. Actually, two someones. If you would like, I can give you their YouTube channels, and you can watch them. Actually, there's three. What is it? There's two of them that, maybe even three, that have actual, they've made video courses of this stuff, and I've watched all of them. So, gotta learn from the three of those guys. So, hopefully this works. I'm sure it will. It looks like it will. Cool down, turn off. Ooh, you know what we forgot to do? Because if it's in that range, if it doesn't need to do anything, we jump back to start. And then export it. Right? So all we did was if the temperature's greater than 27, it goes to cool down and turns on the digital valve to let the cold air in. If it's less than 22 degrees Celsius, it jumps to turn off, okay, and turns our valve off, and then goes back to the beginning of the program, okay? If it is between these ranges, say it's 24, 25 degrees Celsius, it's not going to do anything, right? It's going to read through line by line. If it doesn't meet any of these requirements, it'll just jump back to start and start over. Okay, so that's how that works. Again, if you guys have any questions, leave comments in my YouTube channel at MadHatAK, and we'll do that. So we can actually, right, we can print out another housing, we can take it back there, duplicate this chip, put it in there, and be good to go. Actually, we have a house. No, that's pause. There's a pause in there. So anytime you have a sleep function, right, you lose that time.
Hydration
So if
critical.
you have, what the hell? Oh, I got my belt in that slot. If you have critical functions that are taking place, you don't want it to be interrupted by a, 10-minute pause. It's best to put that kind of stuff on a different chip. Hopefully that I haven't confused you. I'm kind of simple when it comes to this stuff too. But look at that, and we got at least temperature in this room automated. That valve is still on. Let's grab our suit and check on our plants, because we got the grow light automated. Hopefully they're thriving. We're fixing to find out.
Hunger critical.
Really, lady? I don't have anything though, do I? Yeah, we gotta go check. I am gonna take a bite from a candy bar though.
Hunger caution.
Yeah, I know. Let's see how our plants are doing with our newly automated grow light. Temperature's 22 degrees. We can set the same thing up in here. So, oh, look at that. They are done, chat. So, it's only going to tell us how many seeds we got. If all goes well, we got 2 potatoes. That ain't bad. It's better than nothing. Okay, so I'm going to replant this, replant that, replant that. And I'm going to take these 3 potatoes. Heck yeah, guys. Doing good. Doing real well. We'll put one in there. I do a 6-second count and turn it back off. Okay. Turn that off. So one thing too, right? If we look at the computers, helps if you can spell. Fat fingers. The kit computer makes these computers, right? So we printed the modern. Look at that power usage, man. If you use that thing, if that thing's on, it's 200 watts down the toilet, right? The retro uses 200 as well. Right? The big screen wall mounted only uses 80 watts. And then the big screen floor mounted uses 50 watts. So just keep in mind, you know, you can do what you want if you got plenty of power or don't want to know what to do with. Lumen Sky, hello. Is it mods? No, I am not modded. I'm playing vanilla, Stationeers. I almost said Minecraft. Nope. Vanilla. We're literally just started automation. We made tier 1 alloys last episode, episode 9, I believe. And then today we built the housing chip, computer, the motherboard, and we just automated the greenhouse light there. There's a housing right there. So that's on for like 10 minutes, off for like 5 or whatever. So I don't have to keep coming in here and turning on the light. Yep, that's the greenhouse. Good. Let me shut the door and you can see it. There. Greenhouse. That's our greenhouse. That is Mars atmosphere, though, at currently 22 degrees Celsius, I believe. Yeah. That's all Mars's atmosphere right there. So I need a suit to go in. One thing, have you played Stationeers? I'm on Mars, Lemon Sky. You played Stationeers? Nice. So I'm curious, Lumen Sky. If I go in there with a I've never done it, so I don't know. I'm using my suit currently. If I go in there with a gas mask, will that work? I'm half tempted to try it. What the fuck, man? Mask. You haven't used, yeah, you haven't used the gas mask either. Yeah, I'm curious, like, what do we do? Do we put in, because it says, ah, this mask will mix with the world atmosphere but will filter out the gases based on the filters in its two slots. So I'm wondering, do we filter out the carbon dioxide and pollutant and the oxygen and the nitrogen stay in there? Let's try it. That's what Stationeers is all about, man. Experimentation. Let's get out of our suit, though. I think I've cleaned this out. It might not have this. Ah, stop. I don't even know what you're making. Okay. Gas mask. We need steel and silicon. We just made steel. I think it used an inside room where the pressure's okay. Yeah, we're good on pressure. In there, I think it's like 60 kilopascals of pressure in there. It's shit, and the temperature's really good, but I don't know. I don't know what the gases will do. Where do I have steel I can rob from? Right here. Let's try it, man. We don't know. We're fixing to find out. Gas mask. We just want one of those. Then we're gonna need filters. Okay. There's that. So let's filter out, what was it, CO2 and pollutant. How I make energy? Yeah, solar panels and wind. So I've got 3 solar panels tracking on logic because we didn't have the computers up yet. And then I've got wind power, man. When the storm hits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wind turbines are charging 2 station batteries. Filters are made here. Let's filter out carbon dioxide. And filter out pollutant. Because it may be that we have to put in the filter that we need. Like, we need the oxygen. I don't know. We're fixing to find out. If we die a horrible death, well, we die a horrible death. So right now, we're experimenting. We are going to filter out the carbon dioxide and pollutant and see what happens.
Oxygen low. Low
Okay, that's
pressure.
not working.
Oxygen critical.
Oh, that's because it's...
Pressure critical.
There we go. Are we good now? The atmosphere you are breathing is causing damage to your lungs. Huh. Okay, so that answers that. I'm going to have to do some research on this gas mask. Because we're taking damage right now. Should be filtering out that stuff. So what happens if we make oxygen nitrogen?
Low pressure. Pressure critical.
Oxygen. Nitrogen. So those filters are... They got used. Okay. Let's see what happens if we do that. Okay, so far so good.
Oxygen low.
And that's going to happen because of the pressure. Once the airlock cycles, will be good.
Pressure critical.
Weird. Not sure how these work. Still taking lung damage. But our veggies are thriving, man. They're doing good with the light setup we currently have. So good to know. We just have to do some experimentation with this gas mask. I almost wonder if it's because the gas mixture's not right in there. See, it went away. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to do some research on that. So, getting to be about that time. We got some automation done. We, that's looking really good. We can set it up in there too. But yeah, got a computer built, motherboard built, two IC housings, two different chips doing two different things. Um, Tested out a gas mask. I'll do some research and look into that for you guys. But yeah, man, we're automating our grow light in there. Plants are doing well. We automated our temperature. Our temperature's doing well. I may actually take that less than and bump it to like 23 or something like that. But we're good. It'll maintain the temperature in here. Looking good, man. I think I got some cabinets in for storage space. We could put another one here and put the paints in there. Yeah, it's just kind of play it by ear at the moment. Nothing really pressing to do that I can think of. Like I said last episode, it's all quality of life, man. Improvements here. We're still good on power, even with all the new stuff that we got put in. IC housings, I think, use 10 watts. Because they're on all the time, you know? Oh, 50 watts. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. And I think it's both. So that we're using the compact currently. We look at that. Yeah, it's 50 watts for both of them. So actually setting up one of these out there, because remember, we're using 250 watts just for all that solar logic. So we can actually uh, conserve power by putting a housing out there and controlling our solar arrays that way. You know, but I'm not too concerned with it, man. We've got solar power charging our batteries, wind power when a storm hits. We're actually pretty good on power at the moment. I think you know what I kind of want to do. We're automated now. Temperature and food, man. That's the big thing. One thing we could do is we could dedicate one of these batteries. We may even build another battery. We could dedicate one of these batteries to that greenhouse so that because that greenhouse is not going to require much power, right? Oh, the light went off, didn't it? Yeah. Anyway, so we know with the IC housing we're using 50 watts. The grow light when it's on is 70 watts, right? We could dedicate a station battery and then build another one just for that greenhouse. Our airlocks have battery backup. So if there's a catastrophic power failure, we're able to get into the base, get into the greenhouse to harvest food, you know. Um and then the other thing I'd like to do the other thing I'd like to do I think we're good on space, but what I want to do is get this fridge and this bench out of this room. So we may expand out a little bit, make our kitchen like we were talking about, you know. Um, and then I may I want to plumb. I don't have my suit on. I want to plumb. Remember when we built the oxygen and nitrogen refill stations down there? I want to plumb those gas lines up here, right, and put canister fill stations like along this wall somewhere. Because this here will eventually get moved to the back and where the kitchen is. And then we can put our canister fill stations here, right? And then with this gone and this gone, I've got more locker space This can actually technically go away. I don't need that tank anymore. And then where the water crusher is, we still need to plumb it in. You know, just future plans, man. But I think for next episode, let's plan on giving the greenhouse its own battery. Lumen Sky 322. Thank you for the follow. Much appreciated, man. Yeah, let's plan on giving the greenhouse its own. Yeah, see, there's the green light again. That's beautiful. Anyway, let's plan on giving the greenhouse its own dedicated power supply. Um, and then, time permitting, we should. Maybe we'll do some expansion, right? Lumen Sky, I don't know if you saw. I'll briefly go over it. And maybe you have a better way of doing this, but this is how I'm doing my cooling currently. Define the sensor and the digital valve, and then I just alias temp into R15. We're loading from the gas sensor the temperature. We do the conversion to Celsius. If it's greater than 27, jumps down to cool down. Turns the digital valve on according to the temp register. If it's less than 22 degrees, we can actually change that to 23. Less than 23 degrees, it just jumps to turn off, turns the digital valve off. It's my code, yes. I literally wrote this during the episode. I'll publish it to YouTube so you can see it. But, yeah. We did all this today, within the last hour. I think it'll work. Really, I mean, you could really simplify this and just do a, what do we say? Set greater than, right? 25, turn the damn thing on, and then leave it. Usually you use set less than or equal. Oh. Less than or equal to 25. Set less than or equal to 25, and it turns it on according to, oh, less than or equal 25, it turns on. If we don't want it to do that, though. Yeah, no worries. You sure you don't? Can you do greater than? Yeah, you can do SGE, can't you? SGE, set greater than? Yeah. So, like, if I set that to register equals 1, which would turn the valve on, if temperature was 25 degrees or greater, otherwise it's off. Yeah, that would work, huh? Yeah, that'd be the super simplified, easy way to do it. This is a little more complicated. But, yeah, it works, though, and we'll just export that. It works. 24 degrees. Another degree. If this thing's working like it should, man, that digital valve right there should turn off. So, yeah. Lumen Sky 322, thanks for popping in, man. Let me give you, if you want, you don't have to, man. I'm just gonna give you my links, cause I live stream to Twitch, but all my videos go to YouTube, right? So there you go, and I post to YouTube and X any news, like especially if I'm not gonna stream. What's today? Friday. Yeah, it's the weekend. The wife and I are probably going to play Stationeers, man. So I may not stream tomorrow. We'll see what happens. If I stream, I'll post it, right? But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your input, man. I'll have to remember that. Set less than an equal or set greater than an equal. Maybe we'll do that for the greenhouse. You know, do it a different way. What's the beautiful thing about stationeers, man? Experimentation, sciencing the shit out of it. So, yep. Thanks for stopping in. We got big plans for the next time we're on. Got a to-do list, so that's to do, and then the QOL is quality of life. Just Twitter's blocked in your country. Okay, well, if you got YouTube, man, I usually post to both, so you'll get it one way or the other. All right, well, Lumen Sky, I'd imagine you're overseas, so it's probably early in the morning or possibly afternoon. It's going on my evening here, so I'm going to jump off of here. I hope you have a good day, sir. Thank you for watching. And we will most definitely catch you on the next one. Take care and have a good day, guys. Everybody, thank you for watching. Appreciate you. Later, Lumen Sky.